This is Irontrader, and this is Midday Trading. So we'll take a look at some stocks here. We'll take a look here at Apple, at Microsoft, Google, which is breaking way out today, Amazon, and Netflix. This video is for information purposes only, not a recommendation buy selling stock market ETF. Please like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Here we are, Apple daily, weekly chart. Now you can see here how we just had this sideways action consolidation, and we broke right on up. And this is what we're watching is going to be this key level right there at that 235.12. Now we have to have that on a closing basis. That's going to be very, very key. If not, I want to just point out this gap. Okay, at the bottom of this candle is 234.36, and then we want to look to the top of that candle at 230.85. Okay, so right there have 234.36. Here's your gap. And then there's your fill at 230.85 level. We have your 8-day at sitting at 230, and then we have this 21-day at 227. Now we start losing that. We'll come to the bottom at 224.69. We have at the bottom there at 223.79, and then we come down to your 200-day at 221. Now, there's another gap down here. Okay, it's a small one, 216.58. And then we have your fill at 215.38. We have this 50 days. Okay, so there's a lot of good support underneath there. Now, this is breaking up here all on this Google news. Google, the judge said that they won't have to sell the Chrome browser, which is awesome. So Google is just ripping. We'll get to that in a little bit. Now, on the upside here, when we're watching this today's high, we had 237.97 level. Okay, so really your next level, you just bring that price channel right across, and what we got here is 241.37. We'll come on top of there, 244.03, and then we always look to the left of the chart. We're looking at 247.19. Then we'll come up top of that candle at 250 flat. Now, if we can keep right on cranking, we got a big target up there at 260. But let's just see how this all scenario. This, one day does not make a market kind of a situation. So we had this gap up, and you know how I am. I just never like them gaps because a lot of times they eventually do get filled, kind of a situation. Okay, so always remember them. But for today, we need to hold that key 235.12 level. Now, here you can see on a weekly chart, we have a nice, good uptrending chart looking very, very nicely. Okay, so what we're looking for, obviously, is right there is going to be that price channel, that 235.12 level. Now, again, we just have these nice big upside targets there. That's that 250 level and then that 260 level right there. So, again, we've got to watch this area right here. This is going to be very, very critical. But if, again, we can close above it, we have a good, nice chance at shooting her off to the upside. Now, we look at the RSI and the daily. This is still plenty of room to run to the upside. This is a sideways action. Right here, what we had is we got sitting at 59. You got plenty of room to run. The green is over your red, so this chart is looking very, very bullish. It's just a lot of times it's just this time of the year. Now we had this on a weekly. We had this nice big green pole and kind of like a bull flag situation. Now the key is going to be a close above that for the week at 235.12. Then we can start hitting all the rest of these upside targets. But right now, Apple here is looking really good. This is not really what my favorite trade is. Really a slow mover. It got some news today, so it's moving on up here. But I think there's a lot better trades out there. But again, if you're an Apple, they do pay a dividend and all that. Just watch this key level. This is that 235.12 level on a closing basis. Okay, let's take a look here now at Microsoft. Here we have Microsoft. Now, here we have this really, really nice, good uptrending situation. Then we topped out at pretty much triple nickel up there, okay? Then we've been selling right on off here, and now we have this sideways action. So I don't think Microsoft likes this Google deal, this announcement, but again, that's the way it goes. So what we're looking on the upside is we're looking at that 8-day, looking at that 505.87, and then we have that 50-day right above it at 509.30. Then we're going to come right to that 21-day at 513.98. Those are going to be all your key resistant levels and your upside targets. We get above that, we can come up here to this 522.82, and then we can come all the way here to your 537 level, but we have that 532 level, and then we have that 537 level right there, okay? And then we come up and retest that 555 level. But realistically, remember, we always have this gap down here that you got to be very, very literal. If we do have a sell-off this time of the year, we have a gap all the way down here at that 424.90, and we have that fill at 396.66. Now, I'm not saying that's where it's going to go. Eventually, someday, we're going to fill these gaps, just maybe not today. Now, we had a really, really strong, you can see this RSI was just, it was like an overbought, but it just kept on rising. Very nice, holding that 820 one day. But then you can see how it just came right on off here. So on the downside here, what we're really watching is going to be watching this price channel right there. Okay, so you're watching at that 496.81. That's going to be very, very key on a closing basis. Okay, now again, we do have a lot of support underneath. We have that 488 level. We come down here, we have that 472. But realistically, you'd be heading for that 473 level. That's going to be very, very key on a closing basis. If we start losing this price channel and we start losing all these support levels, that's going to be your big target. This 200-day for 43, that's going to be your big target, and the gap and fill is going to be a big target. But right now we just have some sideways action. So again, really no harm, no foul. So we're only sitting here at 44. That's, not overbought or oversold. The green is below your red, shows momentum to the downside, which obviously we have. So we just right now have a sideways action. But on the upside, just watch that key level, that 8-day, that 50-day, and that 21-day. We get above that, then we can head for that 537 and maybe retest that 555. Now, we look on a weekly chart. You can see here we're going to be stuck here between pinball action, like a lot of these charts are, between that 8-day and that 21-day. So on the upside, you really want to watch that 513 by a close, by on a Friday on a closing basis. And if we can get above that, then we have a good shot at retesting. If not, we're going to come right down here to that 477 level, and we could even go possibly lower. Now, you can see here where the green just about wants to cross over that red. If that does, that shows momentum to the downside. We got to a little bit of overbought condition, and now we're coming right on off here. But realistically, this is a very, very strong, very, very good stock. All right, let's take a look here now at Google. Okay, Google had the really, really good news. Now you can see here how this was climbing up here very, very nicely, but now we're to an overbought condition. You got to be a little bit careful. And to me, I never like these gaps. Okay, like this, because eventually this will get filled. So now what we do is we just gapped right on up here. So what we want to do is look at the bottom of that candle, looking at 224.79, and then we want to look at the top of that candle, 211.68. Okay, your gap and your fill level. And then we have your 8-day, 211. We have your 21-day, and then we can just follow the candles all the way down. You got that 196 level, and we come all the way down to that 192, your 50-day, and then we have your 178 all the way down to your 100-day and 200-day. Now again, this usually never lasts kind of a situation. But again, if it does keep right on rallying, you got 230.86. They had really, really good news today. And they don't have to sell the Chrome browser. And then, so the judge ruled really, and that was a big deal in their big lawsuit. So again, this could climb, go all the way to that 250. So when we were all the way down here, I posted Google before. I said, this is really one, this looks like they got their they look like they got their act together. Now, I got their YouTube TV, and I got to tell you, it is awesome. You get a lot of channels for one basically price. There's no extra fees. There's no taxes or none of this nonsense on there. So they have a lot of stuff. Plus you can record stuff. It's really, I think it's a very, very good. So as long as they can keep their search engine, they don't have to do that. This is going to be, I think, could go much, much higher over time. I just don't care for that gap situation. For me, I'd be waiting for a pullback, at least back down to that area of this price channel of that 215 level. If we can get a pullback down, then I think that would be a buying opportunity kind of a situation. So even when you look at the weekly chart here, we just rally right up to 230.86. Now again, if it keeps right on rolling, you got that 250 target. That's always usually standard, where you can go through those round kind of numbers. And Google's really been lagging behind the rest of these stocks, like Nvidia, I'm saying, in Meta, and and like in Netflix and stuff like that. So again, this is really like no big shocker kind of situation. But now we're getting to this overbought situation all the way here. So this isn't something I would say I would jump into right now. Again, I say if you're in it, then I would say I would take some profits, kind of a situation. Okay, let's take a look here now at Amazon. Here we have Amazon. I'm a big fan. Do a lot of shopping on Amazon. Very, very makes life a lot easier. Okay. So what we'll do is we had this gap down. Okay. So what we're really watching here on the downside is we're watching that 50-day at 224.46. But you can see how nicely that is holding this here on a closing basis, and that's what matters. Okay. Now if we lose that, we'll come down to yesterday's low at 221.83. Come down to this area here. You're looking at 220.50. And then we have 219.05 level, and then we come down to that 13.74. But realistically, looking for that 212.99 level, and possibly even that 211.42 level here on your daily chart. Now, you can see here how we had a really, really nice good rally, but you never got to an overbought condition. Okay, never really got to an overbought condition in this scenario. So now we're just sitting here very, very nicely at sitting at 49. We got sideways action going here. The key is going to be on the upside is, well, what we have to do is got to get above that 21-day, 225.84, that 8-day at 228.27, and then we have to hit that 234.08. You have to crack above that, then we can come to the top of that candle at that 236.53 level. Okay, so that's what we're looking for, and then we can do the retest at 242. I think eventually this is going to wind up towards that 300 mark, but I think we just have to have maybe possible a little bit of correction. But if you look here on a weekly chart, look at how beautiful chart is, bottom left, upper right. Very, very nice looking chart. kind of a situation. But now we're kind of hanging right around that 8-day. So you got to watch that 226.20 on a closing basis. Then we can hit that 236.53 level and maybe even test that 242.52. But again, we start losing it. We got this 213 area down here. You got that 210 area. Again, let's just see how this all going to shake out here. So maybe we have maybe a possible double top, but again, we have a nice V bottom. So let's just see, you really have to close back above that 236.53. Then we got a good shot at moving at higher. But right now, I would just kind of trade this. I would just, wouldn't say, hey, I'm going to be all in. I'd be waiting for a little bit of pullback. But we do have a nice low, higher low situation. But we're just kind of like jammed right on up, here on the sideways action. All right, let's take a look here now at Netflix. All right, here we have Netflix. Now, Netflix has been just a bomber of a stock. Look at this, all the way from down here, all the way up to there, man. Look at that. That is just a beauty. Yeah, this was at 222 in 2022. I admit that, but still, look at that. Just beautiful chart all the way up here. The 8-day, 21-day, and look how nice here on the weekly here, how we're holding that 21-day situation. Came down, held it, came down, or held. Now we're at it like a critical point. So what you want to do on the weekly, we want to hold that 1203 and that 1196. If we don't, we can come to the bottom of this candle at that 111.44 level, and then we can look right to the left of the chart at that 1,064 level. Then we have your 50-day all the way down here, okay? And then we have obviously a big retest. But right now, we have this negative divergence, so keep your eye on this. See how we had this high, okay? And then we had a higher high, but we have a lower high here. See, negative. See how that's positive and this is negative. So just be a little bit careful with the Netflix. Now we have a really good sideways action, but remember, they got football season coming up here. So this should be a really a good scenario here for the old Netflix. So let's just see how that all shakes out. So right now we have this sideways action. So what we're really watching is that 21-day, okay, that 12-12. We're watching that 8-day at 12-17, and then we're watching this key 50-day, which we ran into today at 12-28. So we have this sideways action, but a lot of times when you get that sideways action, you build energy to either crack up or crack down. And this one here probably will be cracking up. So I'll be looking at that 12.51. You have to get above that. Now, again, if you can get above that key 12.51, then we have a nice target right up here. You're looking at 12.77. We have a nice target all the way up here at 1302, and then we can crack that 1341. You crack that, and you can go to that 1400. This would be nice if this stock would split. That would be pretty awesome. But again, we don't know. Anyway, you're only sitting at 50, so you got plenty of room to run. But we do have this sideways consolidation. But again, just remember how this stock was a huge runner. Okay, even this year. Okay, all the way down here from April, from 800 all the way to 1341. So this was a very good running situation. The key is you're sitting there pretty much in the middle of the price channel, so you have to crack above that 1240, 1251 here to go higher. Okay, now on the downside, here on the daily, again, we want to watch that 8-day and that 21-day. That's going to be all key. But realistically, we want to watch this 100-day at 1186. You can see how nicely we held it there yesterday, and now we're just sitting sideways. But if we lose that, you can come down and retest that 1144 there very easily. Okay, so just always remember that when you have the stocks that are this price, when they move 20, 30 points, at a time kind of a situation. And when it moves, it can move all the way down on you too, just as much as it can go on the up. But right now here, look at this bottom left, upper right. She's just a beaut cart as long as we hold that 21-day on a weekly basis, looking very nice. You look at that RSI, say we're looking still very good at 50, and this here is just a sideways action. But I think it's just consolidating now, waiting for this next move. All right, that's what I got for you. I'll be back here after the pit close. We'll take a look here at Bitcoin, look at that Ethereum ETF, ETHU, and we'll look at gold and silver and crude oil and natural gas. And we'll take a look at the indexes, which are nice and green compared to yesterday, which were pretty red to start today. All right, trade what's in front of you, not what you want.